welcome to the video. Today's video is about my bulk. I promised this video a little while ago, finally got around to sitting down, talking about my experience with the bulk I've been doing the last 15, 16 weeks or so, and what that looked like for me, my macros, my workouts, all that stuff for you guys. I think might be helpful for anybody who's trying to build muscle, so I hope you enjoy. All right, like I said in the intro to this video, this is gonna be about my bulk that I had been doing the last 25-ish weeks, thereabouts. And I'm gonna break this video down into my past experience with bulking, why I did this bulk, how I did it, so my macros, my calories, my workouts, what all of that looked like, the things that I would do differently for the next time I do a bulk, the mental and physical benefits and struggles that I experienced during this bulk, my experience with my changing body image and what that was like, because that's something that I think is super important that men do not discuss enough in this space. So I want to talk about that because everybody experiences it, and I think that'll be beneficial. And then my future plans. So I did this long bulk, what is next for me, and kind of how I'm phasing out of this period into the next. So we will start with my past experience building muscle, bulking, whatever you want to call it. If you don't know anything about me, I started my serious approach to muscle building after I had been very sick with thyroid disease and some other stuff, which if you're interested about, I may make a video about in the future, but it's something I've discussed at length in podcasts. I've done an interview with Men's Health about this, which I will link down below. I will also link a podcast down below where I talk about it if you are interested in that. But when I first got better from being sick for the better part of 2 years, I weighed 105 pounds. I'll throw a picture up of what I looked like. I weighed 105 pounds at 5'11". I had next to no muscle or fat on my body. My body was almost entirely atrophied, and I was starting from essentially zero. So from there, I slowly worked my way up to about 165 pounds, like a healthy, but not like lean or really muscular 165 pounds. And that was essentially building back years worth of lost atrophied muscle, which is a video and a conversation for another time. But I'm giving that context right now because if you clicked on this, you probably would have thought 160 to like 175 isn't a crazy bulk. My starting point when I first started lifting was 105 pounds. So keep that in mind. With that out of the way, that leads me to why I did this. So I've been hovering between, let's say 158 and 165 for the better part of the last 2.5 years. I'm definitely much leaner in like that high 150s range. During my last cut, I think I got down to about 9% body fat, and that was at about 155 for me, which was too small for me. I also didn't love that I had to weigh so low. I mean, 150 is relative, but for me, that's kind of low to be as lean as I wanted to be. So the reason I wanted to do like a longer bulk and really try and put on more muscle is so that I can be lean at a higher body weight. So let's talk about how I went about doing this. I'll start with the nutrition side of things because that was the biggest factor in building muscle. And it's not just for me, it is for anybody. If you are not a complete new beginner to weightlifting, you're gonna have to be eating in a surplus and training hard. So let's talk about the eating in a surplus part. I will throw my exact macros between my rest days and my training days up on the screen so you can see the numbers that I was working with and what I was trying to shoot for to build muscle. Now, some of you might see those numbers and be like, oh my God, that's so high. A few notes about me. I spend a lot of my day on my feet. I live in New York City. I walk around everywhere. So my general NEAT, my non-exercise activity thermogenesis is very high compared to your average desk worker. I don't work at a desk. I'm moving a lot of the time. My baseline calorie burn is much higher than your average person. My goal was to hit those numbers just about every single day, which I will not lie, was kind of difficult for me. Some people are really good at getting calories in and they really struggle with getting calories out. You know, everybody's different. Some people, it's just easier to eat more than it is to eat less. For me, I don't have the biggest appetite. There were a lot of days where I really struggled to get in the calories that I needed to. There were plenty of nights where I would have been out training clients or I would have been working out or something like that. I get home and I open up and I see how many calories I have left in the day, and it's 8 p.m. and I am 2,000 calories short for my day just because I was on the go and I didn't have time to just have a big meal, big snacks throughout the day. And that led to some very uncomfortable nights, which is something I'm gonna talk about later on in the video, but you get the idea. Let's talk about workouts, because eating in a surplus is great, but if you're not providing enough stimulus to your muscles, you're not building muscle, you're just getting fat. I had a client the other day ask me, so if I'm eating in a surplus and I'm not working out, then what happens? Am I building muscle? And I just had to look at him and be like, that's what getting fat is. So let's talk about what my workouts were. I did a program made by Mind Pump, but I did one of their programs. It was a aesthetics-based approach. That's kind of the type of training that I like. I will throw that program up on the screen as well so you can see it. This program was broken down into different phases. There were like 3 phases of it. They were very long workouts. They were each 3 days a week and just very high volume. I personally had the time to spend a bunch of time in a gym doing these workouts. Would I recommend these workouts for your average person who just wants to get into weightlifting? Probably not, because they were very time intensive, they took a lot of my time, and they were very physically and mentally taxing. That being said, I really enjoyed them. I feel like I got great results doing these programs. It was the type of volume that I wanted to be doing on my bulk, and I spend a lot of time in gyms to begin with, so it's just natural for me to just stick around and get a long workout in. So those are the 2 big pillars: eating in a surplus and working out very hard. Let's talk about things that I would do differently. Biggest thing, and I think the only thing that I would have done differently, was be better about planning my meals. More days than not, I came home and had anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 calories left in my day. And that led to bad eating habits. That led to eating the types of foods that I wouldn't necessarily want to eat, just overly processed, high calorie, very tasty, very enjoyable foods to eat. I was eating them at such a constant rate that I just wouldn't feel good afterwards. The biggest thing that I would do differently, be smarter about meal planning. Make actual set times in my day where I knew what I was gonna eat and when I was gonna eat it, instead of just being busy through the whole day and then trying to figure it out and hit my numbers before I went to bed. This leads me into the mental and physical struggles. First, with the physical struggles. So the physical struggles that I experienced were mostly around just feeling gross. I did not feel great a lot of the time. Eating as much as I had to eat was really enjoyable at the start, because it was like, oh my God, I can eat all the cake and all the cookies and all the fun stuff. And that is so much fun, and I'm not gonna pretend that it isn't, but boy does that get old quickly. I definitely hit a point where I was just sick of eating. The idea of just eating more and more and more became nauseating to me. I was tired of feeling bloated. I was tired of eating past the point of feeling full. I was tired of just stuffing down another serving of rice, even though I was completely full, just because I had to hit my numbers. In the same way, if you're trying to lose fat, there's gonna be nights where you go to bed hungry. There were a lot of nights when I went to bed uncomfortably full. Now that is something that didn't have to happen. That was poor time and food management on my part. So learn from me, don't do that. In terms of the mental struggles, the biggest thing that I have to deal with, this leads into my next point, was body image. I do not think that men speak enough about body image in the fitness space. And I definitely think that's to the detriment of all men. And I want to note that I do this for a living. I coach people through this stuff. I have many clients that are bulking. I'm on the side of somebody who knows what goes into this type of stuff and what it's like, and I still dealt with the body image issues that my clients deal with all the time. I don't think anybody is immune from this type of thing, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. We definitely get used to the way that we look, and we shape our identities around that, because in a lot of ways that's how people perceive us. And when you start actively changing your appearance in a big way, in a lot of ways your identity is changing with it. Every really skinny guy knows what it's like to be the really skinny guy. And every bigger guy knows what it's like to be the really big guy in the room. And to have that kind of fluctuating, even though you know that you have a goal and you know that you have something that you're working towards, it's still difficult to manage changes in your body, because it's not just a physical thing, it's a mental thing as well. Am I getting too fat? Am I still going to be attractive when I get bigger? Will I ever be able to lose the fat that I put on during this bulk? These are all things that guys experience when they're trying to lose fat or build muscle. muscle. And these are things that I experienced as well. And that's coming from somebody, like I said, who does this for a living and coaches other people through this. These things aren't easy and nobody's immune to it. So my future plan after this bulk is that I just went right into a cut. It felt really naturally for me to just kind of ease back on the amount of food that I was eating. I kind of hit a point where I was hitting my calorie goal, but I wasn't gaining any more weight at that current level. I would have had to add in more calories to my diet, which I wasn't really comfortable doing. I kind of hit that point where I was at the threshold of how comfortable I was with my body fat levels, and I was ready to just trim down. It's starting to get warmer out. It just feels natural for me to kind of eat less, move more this time of year. So I've been transitioning into a cut, which I will also do a video on towards the end of how that experience was, what I did, things that you guys can learn from, and that type of thing. Now, if you're watching this and you're somebody who wants to bulk as well and you don't really know what you're doing, how to get there, what you're gonna be doing along the way, let me know. Feel free to ask me any questions that you have over on Instagram in the comments below. And if you really need a coach for this, I do have spots open still for online coaching. So if you want somebody to be with you every single step of the way, day in and day out, to make sure you reach your goals, you can apply for coaching on my website. I will leave the link down below for that. So if you enjoyed this video, you want to see more of it, please subscribe. I'm really doing a lot more stuff here on YouTube, and I would love to have you along for the journey. Like and comment as well, all those things. I appreciate you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.
Baby, baby.